everyone, my name is Avarx, and today I will be talking about fishing in New World. Fishing in New World feels a lot different than in other games, such as RuneScape, WoW, Classic WoW, or even more modern games like Animal Crossing. I feel like fishing in New World feels a lot like fishing in real life, but a lot more sped up. And because of that, it's a lot more engaging for it. So far in New World, I've played about 50 to 60 hours as of Saturday of the first week. And about 25 of it, maybe 30 hours, has been spent fishing. I'm about level 130 and hopefully getting to 200 later in the week. But the thing that I love about fishing in New World is, like I said, it's a lot more involved. It's also a lot lucrative, so it's really good for getting cooking up. You're making potions, as well as I've been seeing fish go for quite a bit. Like for example, I've seen some legendary fish go for 1,300. I've seen them listed for 1,800. The prices will probably fall as the weeks go on and people get more and more. But right now, I think you can make a lot of money from fishing. Though I will say, though, fishing is a grind like in other games. I would say in New World terms, it's a King of Mountain grind so far. If I had spent the same amount of time as I did fishing as I did to getting other skills up, I would probably have at least two or maybe three of them maxed out right now at 200. Like that's how much of a more of a grind fishing is as compared to the other ones. Though I will say though that it is enjoyable. A lot of people I've talked to and other streamers such as Stay Safe said that they don't like fishing. They're not going to do fishing. And I feel like they just haven't given it a chance and they haven't learned how to fish properly. So I've seen guides online which just basically says uh, left left mouse button to cast your rod, which you can also hold to make it go further. And then when it's you hold the mouse button you hold the left mouse button down to reel in the fish, and you let it go to let the fish run. But also you can just click once and it'll do the same thing, and click it again to do the exact same thing as holding and not holding. Though I prefer holding just because I feel like I have more control. Especially when we get into more of the fishing mechanics, you'll see one of the reasons why I do this. But I guess talking about the fishing mechanics, I would say the most important mechanic is the line tension. So the line tension dictates if you catch the fish or not. So if you hold the left mouse button down until it's basically the line goes red, the line will snap and the fish will run away. Just as if you don't reel in the fish will just run away itself as well. And what I've noticed, each fish, like I'm not talking about the species, so salmon, stingray, squid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just fish itself. So each cast, each individual fish itself has a different line resistance or line running away. So what you'll notice when you reel it, as you let the fish run, the little gauge with the circle, it'll move back. And some fish are fast, some fish are slow. It's all random. But what I have noticed is that the rarer fish have a higher likelihood of having it running away more. For example, some legendary fish, same fish, took me 5 minutes to catch, while another one of the same species took 40 seconds to catch. And it has to do with how much it runs. But another mechanic that I haven't seen anyone talk about, and it's called what I call the attack phase and rest phase. So if you look when you're fishing, you'll see ripples around the fish and water jutting out a little bit. And if the fish is doing that, it's attacking. It's trying to get away from you. So you want to reel in the fish a little bit, but you're not trying to do it a lot at once. And it's because you're when it's an attack phase, it uses up a lot more line tension as is when it's in the rest phase, which I call rest phase when there is no ripples. And just like line tension, the attack phase and the rest phase are random, but they're in a pattern. So for example, one fish at the start might have a long attack phase and then a long rest phase. So if it has a long rest phase, you can just sit there and reel it in almost the entire way sometimes. But then I've had some fish have long long attack phases, short rest phase, and right into a long attack phase again. I see that happen a lot with the rarer. I see that happen more often with the rarer fish. So like I was talking about with that 5-minute legendary cast fish. It took me 5 minutes because it would do a long attack phase and then like 3 to 4 seconds of rest. So then I would gain as much of an advantage as I can during the rest phase, and then kind of just fight it a little bit on the attack phase to bring it the gauge a little further, just to help make it speed it up. But there are things you can do in the game to make that easier. Those are called perks, which I will be talking about in a few moments. Though one thing I will mention about the attack phase and rest phase is that it's like I said, it's very rhythmatic. So what I like to do at the start is I kind of test it out, see how long the attack phase or rest phase is, and then I start doing it in a pattern. So do a long cast at one point, or a long reel into a short attack, or whatever, however it goes. But it gets very rhythmatic, and I kind of don't need to pay attention as much anymore, and instead just allow the fish to do what it wants, and me just work around it. Another thing about fishing is you want to find what's called fishing hotspots, and you unlock those with your fishing level. So if your fishing level isn't high enough for the hotspot, you won't actually see the hotspot. Which a hotspot, all it is a little pool in the ocean or wherever you are. If you've played games like WoW, you would know what I'm talking about when you see a little fishing spot. But the fishing spots in this game, they are consistent. They stay in one spot. They don't move around. They just have a certain amount of fish in them. And the respawns vary. So there are 3 different kinds of hotspots. You have the 1-star, which is the broad hotspot, 2-star, which is a rare, and a 3-star, which is a secret hotspot. I always try to go to secret hotspots because secret hotspots don't give anything below green quality. They also have the most chance at finding treasure chests. Treasure chests are really good because they give a good amount of gold as well as a lot of mining materials. So I haven't opened any of mine yet so far because I'm saving all of mine until I hit 200 fishing. But I've seen a lot of people talk about they get like platinum, gold, silver, and a lot of gems and just like gold itself, like the currency. So I would advise going to 3-star spots to maximize your fishing experience, because the larger the fish, which I'll talk about right now, fish come in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large, giving a slight increase of experience for the large increase, but then the rarity. So a green quality fish will give more experience than a gray, but a blue will give more than that. And then ultimately, the legendary fish give the most, which I think is around 550 experience. And to go further along with fish, there are 2 different kinds of fish: saltwater and freshwater, though some fish are both salt and fresh. So I was fishing in First Light. I fished at the ocean first. I was picking up salmon, and then I moved over to a pond. I was still fishing up salmon. So there are fish that share. And I will note that each territory has different fish available, but also each territory has a different legendary fish. So there's about 8 or 9 total legendary fish in all. And as well as, like I said, each fishing spot or anywhere you can fish in the game, they may offer different fish, even from a different in the same territory. So I'll give you an example of Windwards. I was fishing at the 1-star spot by the settlement there. I was able to get tadpoles there, but I couldn't find snails. While when I went to the 3-star spot west by, I believe, Monarch's Bluff, like the territory border, I was able to find snails there, but I didn't really find any tadpoles from what I remember. So in the future, I'm going to be going to each individual hotspot, from 1-star to 3-star and all, and try to find every single fish I can from them. And make a kind of a list in the future. So just to recap what I said about fishing levels, fishing hotspots are unlocked at fishing levels. And as you increase fishing level, you unlock the fishing hotspots. but the hotspots are only where where you see a fish jumping out of it. If you fish around where the hotspot is, you'll get the normal loot table where it was. I would say that my favorite spot to fish was in an area in Cutlass. It was right by Malkio or whatever it's called. It's very close to the First Light settlement, which is why I kind of found it when I was just running around trying to find a good spot to fish. The most important part was it was a 3-star spot, but more importantly, it had deep water around it. I fished there for about 5 or 6 hours, I believe, and that's where I found the best spot was because of deep water. Deep water gives you increased chance at larger fish, rarer fish, and also what I've noticed increased fish rate. So just the way that the fish come up and grab. I found that averagely I would wait no more than 10 seconds for a fish at deep water, while at a shallow water, I noticed could take up to like 20, 30 seconds sometimes. But moving on to fishing baits, if you have fish bait available, I would try to use it as you can. But do note that it's separated in between fresh and saltwater baits, as well as rarity increase and size increase. So if we look at the website, which I'll leave a link down below. Any of the websites I talk about or anything I talk about, I'll try to leave a link down below and to give you guys better idea of what I'm talking about. But the fish we're looking at right now on the screen, it gives you a percent chance increase for rarer fish. So a lot of people are trying to would want firefly baits or glowworm baits. You get firefly bait, as it says, from briar plants and bulrush plants. While glowworm bait you collect from collecting flint during the night, or you can find nightcrawler bait from collecting flint during the day, just like woodlouse bait is found from bushes. And each section has 3 different chances. So like I was talking about how the fish has small, medium, large. Each saltwater or freshwater, depending on whichever one you're trying to find, also has a third one which you can get from cooking, but it gives you the smallest chance, or smallest increase, I should say. While when we're looking at the size increase, you'll notice that these are the ones that you can get from salvaging fish, more specifically snails and eels give you saltwater baits for increase, while eels and sorry, I need to rethink. Okay, so while if we go to the size increase, you'll notice that all of them come from salvaging or from cooking. But what I mean by salvaging snails or eels for saltwater bait, or salvaging oysters and clam for freshwater bait. So that's one of the things I did as well, is I would try to find a spot which it had fresh water where I can find, snails or eels, and then go to a saltwater where I could find clams and oysters, just to maximize the bait I was getting and help my experience along. Though a lot of the times I would say I didn't actually have bait I used, just because I would just much rather sit there and farm as compared to running around, since a lot of the time I was fishing, I was hanging out with my cat, so penning it. I found it a lot easier for me to sit there and fish than to try and gather stuff at the time. But those are what is the fishing baits, or the different baits. The next thing I want to talk about is perks. Because just like gear, like the actual physical gear you can wear, so armor or weapons can have Azoth perks. Your harvesting tools can also. So for fishing, they have what's called daytime Colossus, freshwater Colossus. Both of those just increase your chance of finding larger fish. And daytime Colossus and freshwater Colossus. There's also, as you can see, nighttime Colossus and saltwater Colossus. So each one has a different nighttime or freshwater saltwater. As well as brawn, which brawn is only for fresh or saltwater, but it increases your line strength. Like I said, line strength is very important. The more line strength you have, the easier it is to catch the fish. But I think one of the best things to get is what's called Lucky Day or Lucky Night, which boosts your chance of finding rare fish during the respective night or day. But there's also increased cast distance, which, like I said about cast distance, it can if you the further you cast, the easier it is to catch the fish generally. But then there's also sturdy, which is increases the durability, which I guess I haven't added yet, is the fact that fishing took a lot of repair parts because I was using an Agewood rod. So I had to spend a lot of time trying to get my fishing rod repaired since I wasn't doing a lot of questing at the time. So I wasn't getting gear drops to salvage for parts. So I would go work on my other professions instead, or my other skills. So like logging, mining, skinning, and harvesting, just so I can create gear and increase those skills. So I can get repair parts to repair my rod again. But if you just want to use a basic fishing rod the entire time, those don't require repair parts. So you can sit there. There's somebody who, from when the game launched to about 2-3 days in, he got 200 fishing with a basic rod because it required no repair parts. And speaking of rods, there are 5 basic rods, I would say. So like I was saying, you have the wooden fishing pole, which is just a basic. I think of it as just a basic, like an ancient fishing pole, like just a stick you pick off the ground, you find some string, that's all it is. It's very basic and easy. It requires 1 fiber, 1 green wood. You can find that next to where the fishing quest is, which I'll get into the fishing quest with the next rod set. Then it goes treated wood fishing pole, which is what I use for half the time, and then what I'm using now is the Agewood fishing pole. And as you can see, as the better the fishing rod, the increased cast distance, and starting at as well as tension recovery. But starting at the Agewood, it gives you a chance of finding rarer fish, which is why I wanted the Agewood fishing pole, just to get those better fish, increase my experience from fishing. But then more excitedly, once you get into more of the end game, you have what's called tier 5 or legendary fishing poles. So your tier 5 fishing poles, your ancient fishing pole, angry earth fishing pole, corrupted fishing pole, and lost fishing pole comes from fishing pole chests, which you can have to kill specific elites for. I'll leave a link down below where you can find if you want to find a specific rod. I'll leave a link below. But then you also have the legendary fishing rods, which come from finishing the fishing quest, but they require level 100 to finish, which I'll leave a link down below if you want to look at the fishing, what the fishing quest is. The last that I'm going to be talking about is there is fishing gear in the game, which spawns from ancient, what are they called? Oh yeah, elite ancient chests, elite supply chests, or supply chests. You can find those at the late game zones, which I just haven't gotten to yet. But a thing to note about them is they are BOE, which means you can trade them and sell them to another player. So that can be a good way to make some decent money. But one thing I want to mention is that this set gives, each piece gives 20 focus, and focus or attributes themselves, as you get to the unlock point, so the first one is 50, can actually give you bonuses to a specific harvesting skill. So focus is for fishing, I believe strength is for logging, dexterity is for skinning, and so on and so forth. So once you get into the later stages, I would really recommend getting a focus set, so the fisherman set, because of the fact that the pieces can give larger fish chance, rarer fish chance, cast distance. It can be really good. So if you're looking to get those rare fish, big fish, in the future, I would really recommend getting this set when you can. And with that, thank you so much for watching. That is all I have. If you have any questions, corrections, or other videos you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below and like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.